Okay, hey everybody. I guess that even though I'm not there on a Friday, you still get to learn something new today, so that makes you extremely lucky. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have you take out your classwork notebooks to the back, and you're gonna add these to your notes. So take a second to pause this video and get yourself situated with some Cornell notes on your nearest blank page. Now the information I'm giving you today, I'm expecting that after watching the video, taking the notes and doing the practice, you'll be pretty comfortable when we all come back on Tuesday. So don't think that you can just slack off and tell me you didn't know what was going on. Okay, you gotta know this when I come back on Tuesday. Alright, that being said, pause until you are ready. Alright, I'm going to have you start by writing down the objective, which is today we're going to be able to find the equation of a line without graphing it. So that means I'm actually going to give you the slope and another point on the line, and you're going to figure out what that y-intercept is so that we can write the equation without having to do all that extra work of graphing it and backing up to the y-axis and all that kind of stuff. So the first thing you're going to do on every problem is you're going to write out the equation y equals mx plus b. Just like that. You're not going to add any numbers. You're just going to write that out as a starting spot, and you'll see that in the examples in a minute. So start there. Then, like I said, I'm going to give you the slope, so you're going to take that slope and you're going to plug it into your equation for m. I'm going to give you another point that's on the line. That point is going to go in for x and y in your equation. And our goal here is to be able to solve for the y-intercept. In order to write the equation of any line, we have to be able to find the slope and write that, and we have to be able to find the y-intercept and write that. Every equation has numbers for m and b. So you're going to take your m, your x, and your y. You're going to plug all those numbers in, you're going to solve for b, and then you're going to rewrite your equation, and it's going to look something like y equals 2x plus 3. Okay, every equation has a number for your m and a number for your b. So that's sort of an example of what your final answer might look like, okay? If you need a second to pause and make sure you have those steps all down before you go on to the first example, please do that. Make sure you have these down in your notes. That's what I'm expecting from you. Okay, so take a second to pause and then hop on to the first example. Alright, so the first example that I want you to put in your notes is we're going to write the equation of a line, given that there's a slope of 2 and that our line goes through the point 5, 9. Okay, so I always told you the first step was going to be to write out the equation y equals mx plus b. That's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so if you need to pause to write down that problem, so when you come back to it, you know what you're looking at in your notes, that'd be a great idea. Pause it, write down that equation, and then when you're ready, go ahead and start it back up. Okay, so you've got the equation y equals mx plus b down. If I look at the information in this problem, I know my slope. The slope is 2. So that's what I'm going to plug in for m in our equation. That's always where your slope goes, the number that's with x. And then I know that I have a point 5, 9 that's on my line. So all I have to do is put 5 in for x, that's my x coordinate, and I have to put 9 in for y, that's my y coordinate. So I'm going to go ahead and plug those 3 numbers in, and it's going to look just like that. I'm looking to solve for b. I don't know what that is. Alright, so now this is something that you all can do. You can solve this equation for b. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 5. That's going to give me 10. And then I just subtract 10 from both sides. That's going to give me my b value of -1. Okay, that's my y-intercept. I don't have to graph. I don't have to do any of that. I just know it's going to cross the y-axis at -1 based on what I just solved for. Okay, you want to stop here, but don't. You're not done yet. So you need to take your slope of 2 and your y-intercept of -1 and actually write out the equation that fits all of that information. So your final answer, and I want you to put a box around it, is y equals 2x minus 1. So make sure that that is in your notes. Alright, when you're feeling comfy with that, we're going to do one more example together before I send you off to do a worksheet on Google Classroom. So let's do one more example together. Okay, if you need to stop and pause, but we're going to write the equation of a line given that there's a slope of -4 and that it goes through the point 3, -7. Alright, so I already wrote down y equals mx plus b. You need to do that. That's where we're starting. And then we're going to pick out the information that we know. Okay, we know the slope of -4, that's our m. We know that 3 is our x and -7 is our y and our point. I would always label those things. It doesn't hurt you. Okay, so circle that slope, that's your m, label your x and y in that coordinate, and then we're just going to plug all that information in. So we put -7 equals -4 times 3 plus b, and then from there you solve for b. So multiply -4 times 3, that's -12, add 12 to both sides to get b by itself, and you get b is 5. Okay, that's your y-intercept. Okay, you don't have to graph, you just go. Okay, take that, -4 for m and 5 for b, and write out your final answer equation. And it might be a good idea to leave these notes out when you're working on the next activity, but what you're going to do coming up next is you're going to go to Google Classroom and you're going to open up the worksheet. It says something like writing equations of lines, something like that, but it'll be the top thing on Google Classroom, that worksheet. You're going to submit whatever you get done before you leave, and I'm going to be looking to see kind of what you submit and how you're doing, all right? So do that first. If you happen to finish before class is over, do January 26th, which is next Tuesday, the next time that I see you, is Chapter 7, 85 to 90. That's on your green sheet, but go ahead and get started on that when you are all done and you submit, okay? I'm expecting nothing but great reports when I come back, and I hope you all have an awesome weekend. See you Tuesday.